Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is doing well. Today's video is going to be a lot of fun. I've got some polishes to open and show you guys and some designs I'm going to create with these. Now this is a 6-piece kit from Bornpretty. New packaging, all shine on me, gel polishes, super retro in appearance. I thought this was extremely unique and super cute, nice, clean, and simple packaging. I love the color palette. Now, Bornpretty is great about always including information on the packaging for you guys, warning information, customer service, and contact information, which is always super helpful. I like this new slogan, always more effects within the same trendy color. Now, I love the way that sounds because that is super true. Now, into this packaging, they also have included a pamphlet that's going to explain nail prep, application, how to remove. There's also going to be reminders, warnings, tips and tricks, how to get your nails to last longer, customer service information. So I love that they've included all that. Now, as you can see, this package on the inside is just holding these 6 bottles adjacent from each other. Now, these are 10 milliliter bottles or 0.34 fluid ounces. I love the way these bottles look, and I love the way these bottles are made. Now, these polishes do not have names to them. They all have a different letter number combination on the lids. So I'm going to read them off to you because they kind of got washed off in the camera when I was trying to show them to you guys. This first one is BP-WC04. This is a beautiful yellow, almost mustard yellow color. And this is definitely one coat full coverage on my natural swatch sticks. And I also do like to wipe off the bottom of the swatches before I put them in the lamp. So this next color is BP-WC03. And this is a beautiful pumpkin orange, very lovely orange color. And the opacity of these polishes, like I said, these are one coat full coverage. These are going to be good for any type of nail design you're doing, whether this is just going to be a regular manicure or you're going to attempt some more intricate nail art. They do level very well, and so I cannot wait to do some more with these polishes. In this video, I have something exciting to try out for you guys that you will see as we go on. But yes, very beautiful orange color. This is a great fall set, great winter set of polishes, absolutely. So the next color we're going to look at, now there are 2 reds in this kit. The first one is BP-WC01, and this is just a regular red, and I'm not a big super huge fan of red, but I will tell you guys, when this hit this swatch stick, I was sold. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a beautiful, really ruby red. It just really pops, super gorgeous. And and if you guys think this one's pretty, wait till you see the next one. Now this is a glitter polish. This is BP-WC02, and this red has got some of the most beautiful glitter in it that I have ever seen in a red glitter polish. It goes on smooth and beautifully, and it's not lumpy or chunky or thick the way most glitter polishes can be sometimes. But not only that, you get glitter all the way through when you apply that. So this next color is a green. This is a very muted tone. This is almost like a super muted olive green. This is BP-WC05, and I know on the video it's looking pretty yellow, but once it cures, it definitely darkens up and looks exactly like the label on the top. Now the last one we're going to look at is a super deep green, really evergreen in color. This is BP-WC06. This is going to be perfect Christmas tree green. And like I said, this is a great fall set, but this is also a great winter set. This is going to be great for the holidays with these reds and these greens and these, you know, orange and gold, yellowish gold tones in there. This mustard yellow. I can see a lot of different design ideas within this palette. Now, this is after a 60-second cure, and I will tell you guys that these did not really have much of a tacky surface on. They almost cured non-wipe. I mean, there was a little bit, but nowhere near as much as a lot of gel polishes. Now, I'm going to matte top coat these guys so you can see what they look like, both shiny and matte. And here we go. I've gotten them out of the lamp. I went over with just a regular matte top coat, actually from a different brand, because I did not have Bornpretty's available. And so just the same one thin coat application as most top coats are going to be. And 60 seconds in the lamp and they're completely done. And look at how beautiful these polishes are in a matte finish. Just as gorgeous, especially that glitter red. It still pops even with a matte finish over them. So I'm going to dive right into this and start doing some nail designs for you guys. So I absolutely adore these colors. I am super impressed. I highly recommend testing out this kit for yourself, especially with the holidays coming up. This is going to be a must-have. So I have some full coverage stilettos. These are just long. I didn't prep these other than some base coat because I want to get right into this application. So I'm just going to use these 5 colors in the set to do my base colors. And I'm going to go through and just do one coat of application because that is all these are going to need. And then once I get all of these cured in the lamp, they're going to go in there for 60 seconds. Once they're done, I'm actually going to matte top coat these. I like the matte top coat, and it's going to go really lovely with the nail designs I'm going to be working with today. But just check out how quick and easy, and look at the coverage. I am blown away with this 6-piece set from Bornpretty. I love the colors. They're so complementary to each other. I love the coverage. I have no odor. They're not streaking. I'm not getting any little bubbles or little tidbits in there. I mean, I did shake them gently and I did stir them gently before application. I do that with all my gel polishes, especially if they've been sitting for any amount of time. Of course, these probably weren't sitting. They had been jumbled around in shipping, but still I like to stir everything up. But oh my gosh, I'm super impressed. I highly, highly recommend trying these out. Oh my gosh, and this color palette is just everything. I can only imagine the possibilities with these colors, especially with the holiday season. Now Halloween's passed, but we still have Christmas and Thanksgiving and other holidays around the world during these next few months, and these colors are going to be absolutely perfect for all types of nail designs. Just looking at these colors, it just gives me so many design ideas, and I just cannot wait to share them with you guys. So since we are in the fall season here where I'm at, and it's starting to get cooler outside, it is time to start putting on some layers. You know, jeans for shorts, long sleeves for t-shirts. Well, give or take, because we have had some mid to upper 70s weather off and on, but we still have days like today where it's very cool, even rainy. And so those days, yes, but it will be overnight when you wake up, and then all of a sudden there'll be cold, there'll be snow. So it is definitely coming. So it's a good time to start thinking about sweaters. And sweater nails is something that you see a lot of, but I wanted to try out some different design ideas for sweater nails. The nice thing about sweater nails is you can go with traditional sweater patterns. You can also create unique patterns of your choosing. But for today's set, I'm not going to do these nails traditionally. I am going to use this striping brush from Madam Glam, and I am going to do some patterns on these nails using complementary colors from this palette and testing out to see how well these will work instead of doing the patterns with the actual base color, which is what a lot of people do, or clear. I am going to do some patterns using other gel polish colors to see how they turn out. Now, to get my sweater effect on the nails, I'm going to use clear acrylic powder. I decided to use Core Clear from Young Nails to do these. Now you can do them with acrylic. You can do these with sugaring glitters. There's different options. I didn't want to get that sugaring glitter effect, so I just decided to go with a acrylic powder, which is ultra fine. Is going to get you the sweater result that you want. I'm also going to be applying my acrylic powder in stages. So when I get a certain amount of my pattern done, I am going to go ahead and coat it with the acrylic powder. And then I'm going to go ahead and cure that in the lamp for 60 seconds to get the gel polish cured so my design is locked into place. Then I will go over it with a lint-free wipe that I have covered in isopropyl alcohol to remove the excess acrylic powder so I can move on with my design. The reason I'm doing that is because gel polish sells levels, and when it does, you can lose your pattern very easily. It's going to be a lot less forgiving with color over top of color than it's going to be with the base color used instead, because it's going to be a little bit more obvious of your nail design. So to stop and do it in stages is going to give you, I think, a cleaner result. Now, it may seem more tedious or time consuming, but I believe it's actually more efficient in the long run with saving you time, because once you lock that part of your design into place, you can move forward to do a whole nail and then it level out and sugar it and not like the design. Then you would have to wipe it off and start all over. So at least you can work with your design and get portions of it locked into place. That way you can move forward and you like the way that it's looking at the time. So there are a lot of really intricate designs for nails with sweater nails, and since we are sugaring them to get that design effect, you know, when the polish levels out, if it does it into a way where it bleeds into each other and stuff, that, you know, that effect can get lost really, really quickly. So you're seeing I'm using this little tool to scoop it over. I'm actually going to switch that up with something else a little bit later on. I decided to go with a pour over method with 2 cups because it was a lot quicker and more efficient. Now, when doing the acrylic powder on a press-on a nail stand, it is going to get on the nail stand. Also, it's going to get on your gloves or your hands. So there were a couple things I did to help with that cleanup process. I did make sure to use a dusting brush to remove the excess acrylic powder from my gloves when I was finished. You can also use that on the press-on once it's locked into place, but you can actually do that over a dust collector or a wastebasket. Just be mindful of the acrylic powder flying through the air. I always wear a mask when I'm working with acrylic powder. I also always have air filtration on, and a dust collector is extremely handy for catching any excess dust that you're brushing off of surfaces. Also, I am using a blue towel with alcohol on it as well to wipe off the base of my nail stand at the same time that I, am wiping off the top. That way I am not just getting acrylic powder onto every single surface. As you can see, I'm working over the top of the cup, and surprisingly enough, it was not spreading acrylic powder all over my workspace or anything around it. So it did work out very well to use a very deep cup as a basin for the acrylic powder, but I still would wipe off my workspace, periodically to remove any excess dust or powders. So it just was a couple seconds of extra time, but it helped and worked out really well. So I did use that light olive color, that muted olive color, which is almost somewhere between a muted olive and kind of a yellow green, to do the border along the middle part of my nail design. I also used it to tie those links together. Now I'm going back in with that same red and just doing some stripes along the sides. I'm going to do it on both sides just the same, but I'm only going to show you the one side. And then when I get finished doing both of those, I will be back to show you what that nail turned out like. But yes, I do recommend, if you're going to use a tool to do this process, make sure it has a nice little basin in the bottom of it and not completely flat. But this is how it turned out. You can see the design on the nail, and I'm actually really satisfied with this nail. And I'm going to move on to the index finger next. So for this nail, I'm going to start my design off using the same orange as the base color for the ring finger. That way I am tying these nails together with these colors and trying to keep it a bit cohesive, even though all the designs on these nails are going to be so completely different with each other. Now I am speeding it up through these portions of the video from here throughout. That way you can still see the nail design in the application, but that way the video was not going to be, you know, closer to an hour long, because I did take my time throughout these portions to, you know, work to get, you know, my lines as straight as possible, even application. So this pattern is really easy to do. Essentially, you're just making an X over and over and over again, which is going to end up resulting in a diamond pattern. So you want to try to keep them as even as possible, but you know, they're not going to always be absolutely perfect. Mine are not, but trying to keep them even and trying to keep them, you know, the same even distance from each side of the nail too as well. So as you'll see, it doesn't come out absolutely flawless in any way, but I did like the way this design turned out, and I think the orange really popped over top of the yellow and made it stand out that much more. So like before, once I get my center design done, I go ahead and do the acrylic application. This time I'm showing you I'm doing this as a pour over. It's just a lot easier to get it a little bit more precise. What I was trying to say earlier is that if you're going to use a tool, make sure it has a basin in it. Now the tool I had been using prior to this method was really flat, and it was just trying to scoop it up, and I knew very quickly it wasn't working, but I decided to go ahead and finish out that first nail. But with this pour over method, it's a lot quick and easier, and you can just pour it directly into the spot that you need it, and you don't need to pour it over and over and over and over again. As once you see that brightness of the color disappear, then you know that you've got full application with your acrylic or your sugaring glitters. So now I'm going to go in with this really dark green, same one on the pinky, and I'm going to go ahead and create the border for the center design. Again, does not have to be absolutely perfect, but you want to try to get this as straight as possible and work as quickly as possible as well. I always balance my finger on my other finger to keep my hand stable and rotate it as necessary. Now, if this nail was on a finger, you're going to be able to position that finger the way that you need to get those lines straight. You won't necessarily be able to flip that finger sideways, backwards and forwards, and upside down. So you'll have to work within the amount of mobility that you have when you're doing the nail design. But on the press-on, it's really easy because you can just flip it upside down to do that design. So I've got that sugaring done, and I'm going to repeat this exact same pattern along the sides that goes down the middle. Only difference is I'm not going to be able to get this pattern fully onto the side of the nail because there is not enough space. I could have made it smaller, but I wanted to keep them symmetrical with each other. So I am using the guide of the center to know where to put my lines along the side to continue this diamond pattern. So I'm just going to do this on just one side of the nail in the video for you guys, and then when I come back, just like the first nail, I will show you what it looks like completed. Now this nail, I am actually going to add more details to this nail as we go on through the video, but I decided to stop and move forward with the next nail, but you can see how it's looking so far. I just wanted to fill in that empty space within the diamond pattern, so I actually do that off camera using a dotting tool. So sorry I did not include that in the video, but it kind of, you know, was one of those spur of the moment things like, oh, this needs a little something extra, and I went ahead and did it. So you will get to see it later on when we recap. So I am moving on to the middle nail, and for the middle nail, I wanted to do a heart sweater. I just wanted to do a heart sweater, and super quick and easy. I used this striping brush from Madame Glam, and I put a nice little dollop in the center, and I'm using the striping brush to spread that out into a heart shape. This tool works very beautifully for doing that, just to spread the paint out in the shape that you want it, like that. And then I'm just going to go around the outside edges and try to straighten it up and get it as even on both sides as possible, with nice straight lines and a nice point at the end, making sure that the top portion of the heart is even on both sides as well. Once I'm satisfied with the shape of the heart, I will go ahead and coat it with the acrylic so I can move on to the other aspects of this heart design. Also, I did want to mention that I am using that glitter red to create the heart. I wanted to see what it would do when I applied the acrylic to it. Now, it does mute it out a bit. There is some sparkle that translates through that acrylic. It's not super strong or overwhelming, but you can kind of still get it. So if you're looking for that sparkle effect, like the sugar and glitter, you may want to test that theory out with glitter polishes themselves and see if you can still get the same effect that you're wanting. I could still see, like I said, the sparkle through it. It just was nowhere near as intense because the acrylic did mute it down, but it was very interesting to try that out to see what it would do. And I absolutely loved it. I thought it was so super pretty on the heart. But you know, you're not going to get that full sparkly effect, you know, but you are going to still get a little bit of that to shine through there. So I guess it also depends on your application and the polish that you're working with. You know, this red was really beautiful, very, very, very glittery. Very glittery, but like I said earlier in the video, it still applied beautifully. It was just not thick or patchy too, because sometimes you'll get that with glitter polishes. You will get some patchiness in the glitter, even if they are, you know, well stirred or well shaken. So a lot of times it's easier to go ahead and do a second coat of application with any gel polish. When I say one coat application, I mean it in a sense that one coat will give you coverage. There are times that you do need two coats. There are some products that I've had to use two coats with. Luckily enough, with this application, I only needed one coat. I was, like I said earlier, I was super impressed. I want to see the full range of these products. I want to see how well they perform over time with multiple applications and different types of nail designs. But for what I'm seeing so far, this is definitely worth your investment for the products that you're going to be using for yourself, for your clients. And I would definitely check these out for yourself and see what you think of them, because I loved working with these. Now, this red is just super bright. It pops beautifully. Now, at this portion, I am just using the regular red. I went around the heart with the green to just make it a little bit bigger and tie in the design a little bit more, because I am going to go inside the border. Sorry, not inside the border, but you'll see what I mean in a minute. On the outside the border, and I'm going to use the green again to create some more of a pattern, and then I am going to frame that in again with another red line. So I think the green and the red worked beautifully together. It feels very Christmassy on this nail to use these colors together, and with that base color. Now, when you do the base color and you mat it down and you start to put the red, and it's interesting how the colors contrast together and the effects that they have, it does make that olive green start to look like a nude base. It really does. And so once that red goes on there, but as you can see, like I said, I was using this red as a line to frame. And so I'm going to go over top of that with the red again, and I'm going to frame in that you know, that design. And I think this nail is by far my favorite of the set. It is super cute. I would love to do a set just based off of this design alone. I think it is so super pretty and unique, and I absolutely love it, especially with these colors. And that's a nice thing about colors. You can switch them up and use any color palettes you want to do similar designs. These colors make it feel really holiday. Other colors may give it a total different effect. So after I get done, I will end up going back over this nail. I do add one last strip at the bottom and the top to fill in the rest of the body of the nail. But I will go back in later and I will thicken up the lines a little bit and touch up anything that needs to be touched up. That's another nice thing about working with the colors. You can see what effect you've had. But when you do a sweater nail, if you do have some gaps, if you do have some lines you want to straighten up, you can go back over them and widen them up, touch them up, whatever you want to do, and do another coat of application. So even if you're not 100% done, you still can do more to the nail. So this is what I ended up doing off camera to the index finger. I think that actually adding the green in made the nail that much more extra, and I like the way it turned out. So I'm going to move on to the thumbnail. So with the thumbnail, I wanted to do a striped sweater design on this one. I wanted to give this nail kind of a gradient effect to it. So I wanted to start in the middle of the nail, which is actually the easiest point on a nail design to begin. And then I wanted to do kind of a medium width line. I do kind of bounce back and forth from side to side, making sure the line is perfectly even as possible. Lines may look like they're going to be simpler, but sometimes as they sit and kind of level, and you do want to add a good amount of gel polish to get a nice thick line to it, but just not enough to make it level out so quickly that you're going to lose your design. I'm also going in there with that muted olive tone. It does translate more as a yellow on the nail, and it's interesting to see how that red affects the way that color contrasts on the nail. And last, I'm going to go in with this orange, and I'm trying to keep these lines as even in width as each other, but I'm also trying to keep them as even in distance from each other as well. So once I get these 3 lines done, I will go ahead and add my acrylic powder to the nail and then move on to the other sets of lines. So what I am attempting to do is to go from thicker to thinner down the nail. And I know we've all seen those sweaters that have that repeat pattern of lines that will be thicker to thinner or thinner to thicker, just depending on the sweater that you're looking at. So this is what the first 3 look like, completely sugared, and I actually liked the nail right where it was at, but I decided to continue on because I just wanted to see what this pattern was going to look like on the nail. I do end up liking it, but I really did love just the 3-line pattern too. I thought by itself it was super cool. It was super cool looking. So I am going to make these lines a little bit thicker. I'm adding just a little bit more gel polish onto my brush. That way when I go through and press down, that pushes the polish out and makes a wider line. And I'm just repeating the pattern in reverse that I did in the middle. I really do like these colors together. It feels really 80s. Really 80s with this color palette. And the more I was doing as I was going on, I started to feel like these are, and no offense to anybody, I feel like these are the ugly holiday sweaters. Like I was really feeling this as we were going on. Now I think these nails turned out super cute and I love the colors, but they do remind me of those ugly holiday sweaters that you only wear during that time of year, you know. Now we could get into the ugly Christmas sweaters that everybody either loves or hates. Like there is no line in between those two. You either love them or you hate them. But of course, I wasn't not, focusing on Christmas itself with these sweaters, but this is really what they feel like. They feel real throwback to the colors that we wore back in those days and the sweater patterns that we wore as well with those colors. So I think if you think of it in that sense, you probably could look at the nails and go, "Oh my gosh, I see that." If you were growing up or old enough during that era of everything was dark tones, muted tones, a lot of mustards, a lot of pumpkins, a lot of golds, a lot of dark reds, burgundy reds, dark greens, were really, really popular for a long period of time during that era. So I remember the days where you you saw yellow refrigerators and yellow washers and dryers and other weird green appliances. The colors were really, really popular back then. And so these nails, to me, do feel really throwback to those days. And it's funny that it did not become apparent to me as much until I really got to this nail. And I was like, oh my gosh, I see it now. I see it. Still love them though. Still absolutely love them. But let me know down in the comment section what you think. These feel really old school, like really throwback to you, to those days? Do they remind you of those colors or those patterns? Because they definitely did for me. So I am done with the thumbnail. I love the way it turned out, even though it kind of gave me old school vibes. And I'm going to move on to the pinky nail. Now with the pinky nail, I was just curious to try out something different. Now there's been a lot of patchwork nails lately. And, I do like the patchwork nails. I think they're super cute. But I wanted to test out this pattern or this design on a sweater nail. Now, I'm not going to tell you this one turned out absolutely perfect because I don't believe it did, but I think it turned out super cute. Can you do a patchwork nail as a sweater nail? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Is it something you see often? Probably not. I've never seen it, but I thought it would be interesting to try it. So with this nail, I'm doing my color blocking and I am doing the acrylic application with each color. I want to avoid the colors bleeding into each other as they level out. So it makes it a little bit easier to go in and do them one square at a time. I'm also bringing that glitter red back in for this nail because I absolutely love working with it. And I wanted to incorporate that one in the pinky nail as well with this design. I'm also going to be adding in the olive color and the orange as well on opposite ends of the nail. So I'm going to go ahead and put both those colors down before I do another coat of acrylic powder. I didn't need to do them individually because they're on opposite ends and are not going to come in contact with each other at the same time. I also decided while doing this nail that I wanted to bring the green up to about the same level as the other colors that I've added. So once I get finished with the application of both of those colors, I do go over the rest of the nail and do another coat over the green. I liked the way the nail had this velvety look to it, and I wanted to have that texture across the nail. Plus, I thought that it would make it look better when it came to doing the little bit of a stitch line that I was going to add for the patches, that it would have a nice smooth transition across and not kind of drop down onto the green and kind of get lost in that. So when I get done doing the orange and coating the nail with the acrylic that you're going to see, I do go back in and add another layer of that green for you guys. So I think it just made it look that much better. And here it is completely done. As you can see, it looks nice and even across, has a nice velvety look to it. So I'm going to take a black gel polish and I'm going to go in and add in some little bitty stitch lines. I'm trying to place them in a way where they don't need to come in contact with each other, and also do it as quickly as possible. So I had attempted it once before this time, but what actually happened is that polish levels out quickly and kind of spreads over top of that sugar texture. So I decided to wipe it off and go back in and do it again really quickly. I'm also going to go back over this with acrylic powder again to kind of lock those black stitch lines into place. And it really doesn't matter, they don't have to be a ton of them on each patch, but you get the idea of the design, you know, the way that they are placed. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was a lot of fun to make these throwback looking sweater nails with unique patterns. So definitely try these out for yourself with different color options. I think you will enjoy it. I really do love the way they turned out, and I will finish this up with showing you guys how these nails look on my hands. And here they are, guys. I actually think these are super, super cute. Go ahead and smash that like button if you enjoyed today's video. Comment down below, let me know what you think of these unique sweater nails using multiple colors of gel polish. Which one's your favorite one? You know, would you try this yourself? What patterns or techniques would you use to create these? Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my video. I appreciate you all so much. And if you're not already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you don't want to miss when I upload. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.